Okay, we're live. Hey, nice to meet you, Mikey Bananas.
Yeah,
I'm Brian. We have not met before, and
absolutely. It's my pleasure.
I'm no, the pleasure is all mine. I'm really, really stoked to have you here, and
Sure.
I'm really curious about the show, and I'm really grateful for you. Just kind of, we put this together 12 hours ago, less than. It was just like
Yeah.
I put it out there like a couple weeks ago. Hey, this, so here's what the plan is. I was thinking, I'm so excited to hear about your show because I think you're doing something really interesting in this
Oh,
space,
thank you.
and yeah, it's really groovy. And I just became attuned to you, and I know you've been here. You're like a veteran VC dude.
Oh,
In
yeah.
fact,
Yeah.
I just watched your 10 you did your introduction to the VC video 10 years ago. If you didn't know that, it might be time
Yeah.
for a new one.
Yeah. And I'd been streaming 2 or 3 years before I did that video, even. It's one of those
So
things where people were like, oh, dude, you got to make an intro video. Everybody in the VC's got to do an intro video. And I'm like, oh, okay, finally I did it.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I gleaned a few things from there because I just got so many I got so many questions, and for people who've been watching you for a long time, I see some people. People have been saying, "Oh yeah, he's the OG. Tokyo Bananas is the GOAT. He's the OG live
What's up,
streamer.
Perks?
He's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah." And so it's truly, and I'm new to I'm not. I'm not new to YouTube exactly. I've been here for a really long time, but and it never occurred to me to like search out for like music lover friendship, fellowship on
Right.
YouTube. It just like I just was on other things. And so I don't have any agenda for this conversation, but I want to have a nice conversation with you. I'm excited to be a part of your peanut gallery moving forward. I get you stream a lot, so I'm
I
excited,
do.
but I haven't seen everything. And so a lot of these questions are to anybody who's in the peanut gallery. You're going to be like, dude, you don't know anything about anything. We're like, so I don't know. I'm a total newbie here, and I'm going to ask you the
Well,
yeah.
and I'll tell you just right off the rip, like that's the beautiful thing about this, having done this for so long, and you kind of get used to just doing the way that we do things, and it's just it's the same folks, relatively speaking, for the last several years. People come and go, but like
Right.
somebody like you that pops in, it's brand new, you've never seen it, and you're like, wait, what the hell is all this? Like, it's fun that we can still this long in the tooth still make connections and still make
Yeah.
new pals, and
Congratulations.
that's
Awesome,
fun.
dude.
That's fun,
Really
man.
cool. Yeah, I'm very impressed. And I was watching this thing today or my today. I'm in Japan. We've never actually communicated hardly, but just in the chat. I'm in Tokyo. But I saw a bit on your stream today that you guys are eating potato chips, and you're talking about rippled, olive, like what like kettle, rippled kettle chips. Who's doing rippled? Nobody's doing rippled kettle chips. So I'm kind of like, this is fun and goofy. And then I watch your intro video, and you're like, we've got soda. What's the segment called?
So to speak. So to speak.
So to
Yeah.
speak, and
Yeah.
cheap chip chat, right? And I'm like, wow, 10 years they're still doing this shit.
Dude, we've reviewed it's like around 1,000 bags
so
of unique
cool.
potato chips. We have a spreadsheet and everything, but yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So I think like Howard Stern, like I listened to Howard Stern for years. Well, I just like heard, random shows, and it was like at one point somebody was like, no, you gotta like, you don't know whoever the character, you don't know the sub characters, and I started paying attention to them, and then I was like, oh, okay, the more you kind of get invested in this, the more fun the show kind of becomes. And I just getting that vibe just from the little bit that I've seen of Grown Man Records. I want to welcome Mikey Bananas from Grown Man Records to Tokyo Record Style. Do I have I don't even know if I have I had to ask you, do you go by Michael or Mikey today? I know nothing.
I go by Mikey or Bananas here on YouTube.
Yeah, but what about the show? What's the name of the channel is? I've got all your links handy here so we can go through them, but
it's Grown Man Record Night.
Grown Man Record Night. Okay, so I thought I was maybe getting it wrong. So I'm gonna drop, I'm sure you guys are already following Grown Man Record Night, but if you aren't, let me drop a few links in the chat. There's the YouTube channel.
Cool.
The intro video that is 10 years old, which maybe you Mikey will like to go back and enjoy, is right here for everybody. And the cool thing about this channel is that they're kind of beaten to their own drum. They've got now Peanut Gallery. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to everybody. I'm a one-man show, and I want to engage with you guys. And Mikey, excuse me if I interrupt our conversation to just kind of pull some of these up, but I want to get this conversation rolling. So just Peanut Gallery, bear with me for a second. So you're streaming kind of like you've had like 5 different kind of, you've pivoted like half a dozen times. You did YouTube, Ustream, and now you're doing Twitch, and half your streams are here and some of them are here, and they're going to both places, and you got a lot of things connect. Is really cool. And what else? So Twitch. So did I drop the Twitch TV in there? I'm gonna just, while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the Facebook page just so you guys go follow everything.
Not super active on Facebook anymore, but
that's okay. That's okay. Some people are, and every once in a while, it's just good to just pop those things up. Okay. Oh wait, that might be the wrong link. Whoops. That might be the wrong one. That might be the wrong one. Hold on. Let me get the. Where's your Facebook? Okay. Well, there it is. Okay. So, and we'll pull those up maybe later, but I'm really, anybody who's new to Tokyo Record Style or new to Grown Man Record Night, then get followed up.
That's a Pornhub link. Somebody said.
Whoa! Don't look at that. Don't look at that. Oh man, I actually, side note, I saw some interesting. There was some crusade to there was some, I guess if you sign up for a Pornhub account, I know this is going off the rails already, but if you sign up for a Pornhub account, there's no anybody can make an account, and the person who makes the account doesn't necessarily have to sign anybody up who is also in the videos that get uploaded on there. So you as the video owner can upload whatever you want, but whoever else is in the video isn't necessarily consenting to anything. And so this woman, terrible story, but this woman kind of has taken it as a crusade to get all of this stuff off of these sites, some of these sites. And she claimed that she got them to take down 90% of Pornhub.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Look it up. Don't quote me on it, but I heard that there's still enough for everybody.
That would tilt the earth on its axis. We would all just fall off the planet.
90% of it. Okay. So I kind of want to start at the beginning, if you'll indulge me. Can I just go through the whole thing? Okay, so I want to take a little bit of pressure off of you because I want to introduce myself to you a little bit, and then I'd like you to introduce yourself to me a little bit, if that's okay. Sure. I don't want to take the airwaves because I want to somehow find a way to I don't know. You host I want to come be on your thing too, if I can at some point. I don't know if Grown Man Records is that type of forum, but if there's something a year from now where we're let's get together, then I want to go do. I want to anyway. What I want to do is I just want to say I mentioned we're roughly the same age, class of '95. I think is
class of '95.
Class of '95. Okay, so that means that we grew up with Nirvana and whatever was all the high school things that happened to us. We're kind of from that same. And you're from Winston-Salem. And can I say this stuff? Is it okay if I?
Yeah, I'm actually from High Point, which is down the road from down the road from Winston-Salem, but the middle of North Carolina.
Right.
I work in Winston-Salem.
How far? How big of a city is Winston-Salem, and how big of a city is High Point or town is High? How big is High Point?
Is probably, I don't know exactly, but it's pretty small. Greensboro is the closest bigger city. Okay. And they consider Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem to be the triad. So we kind of get all. It's a segmented market in the television business. That's what we call it. It's a segmented market.
I sadly have not been to North Carolina. I haven't been to the Carolinas. It's unfortunately, but I hear great things about it. So I lived in Boulder. I'm from Tulsa, and then when I was got out of school, I ran to Colorado. Basically, got out of Oklahoma as quick as I could. Now I of course look back at it as one of the most idyllic, charming places that there is in the country. But when you're 18, it was just get me out of here. Sure. And I went to Boulder, and then I stayed in Boulder for 10 years before I moved here into Japan. And been living in Tokyo since 2004. Wow. And a lot of my Boulder friends all moved to Asheville, right? That's North Carolina. That's right. That's not far from you guys, right? City.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of I have this image that I have this image that Colorado and the Carolina, there's some umbilical cord that connects those kinds of places and kind of vibes and kind of
There is
people.
especially Asheville. Asheville's a little crunchier, a little more hippie
Right.
kind of
Like
vibe.
a
And
little
so
more
it's
granola
definitely,
bar.
yeah. The further you get away from Asheville, especially up in the mountains, I mean, it's like, I mean, it's
Right.
still mountains in North Carolina, but Asheville's a very unique place, and it's really unlike anything else in North Carolina, honestly. But I mean,
Right.
just its vibe and just overall the people there, it's very
Yeah.
unique.
And it got hit. You guys got hit by some horrible
Right.
storms not long ago. Did you come out of that unscathed? How far I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, here we were relatively unaffected here and where we live in the middle of the state, but I do work in television and I did have to go up to the mountains and cover some of that stuff, and it was pretty
Okay.
horrific, like being around that. And Steve Fever, who does the show with me sometimes, he went up also to cover some stuff and did a series of pieces that were really great. And I mean, just driving and then the road just disappears, like shit like
Oh my
that.
God.
Like it was
Right.
pretty gnarly stuff. So
Well, in Japan, we can relate to that because we had that big one 14 years ago, just actually this week, actually. And then we've had 3 or 4 others that haven't gotten the attention that that big one did, but they've all been just as devastating. So yeah, I got some friends there, and I always like when I hear about, anyway, I'm glad to hear that you're okay. So, God. So yeah, there's just like all this kind of common ground that I got, just the vibe. And funny thing was that I did today, I'll just admit it. Let me see if I can pull it up. I went to, I don't know if I can read this whole thing, but like I went to Chat GPT today. Oh shit, I need to log in.
Oh man.
And I said, listen, I'm going to interview this guy today. I was just because there was this thing that I fed this AI thing, which I'm not into, but I just fed this AI thing. It'll generate a podcast about you. It'll generate like 2 people talking for 5 minutes about whatever you tell it to. And I fed it some information about me. Like I just gave it the bare minimum information about Tokyo Record Style. By the way, Tokyo Record Style is a photography project before it's a YouTube channel. I go around Tokyo and I photograph people on the streets of Tokyo, and I see, if I see people in Japan, all the record shops have these like vinyl, they have these bags like that with the branding on the bags. Sometimes I go back home and they just put the records in. What's your experience? Do the shops have their own bags, or they just put them in like brown paper bags?
Some have like cool bags, and some like if you buy a bunch or something, it'd be like, hey, take a bag with you.
Take a tote bag with you.
But if you buy like one, it's probably going in a paper sack kind of thing. But
Okay.
but I've actually got a few from local shops here, and we have our pal Ragnar from Iceland has sent me some from Reykjavik as well.
Cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you had mentioned on this video from 10 years ago that you and your buddies had like 4,000 records in the house. How big has the record collection grown in 10 years? How have you maintained the 4,000, or has it doubled its size?
It's gotten 4 maybe. That was probably a poor estimation at the time. We're probably about there now.
Okay.
I really don't know how to count. I'm not into math, but no, that's probably, especially if you're counting 45s and stuff. I don't know. It's probably somewhere around there.
A lot of records.
A lot of records.
Right.
And I've never sold a record. I've never gotten rid of any records. That's something I'm working on, because I've got what I call the baloney stack. These old school record night people heard me talk about the baloney stack, which is like,
stack?
It's a whole stack of nothing but, Ed Ames and, Lawrence Welk and, I mean, just like stuff.
Okay.
Nobody's
I got it.
Nobody's going to listen to ever, probably.
Right.
And it's taking up space in my collection, and people are like, dude, get rid of it. That's a whole nother shelf you could just have. And I've still not quite made it to getting rid of stuff, but I'm working on it. And then getting rid of things that are like good records, but like, oh, you know what? I like Fleetwood Mac, but I'm not really listening to this. I'm just using this example, but I'm not really, how often do I listen to this? Can I get rid of it and make room for stuff I really dig? I'm not quite there yet.
So you're kind of, I saw like a funker. You referenced Car Wash and a funker. You said, you can tell the story, but on this video that I saw, you tell your origin story of getting into records. You want to touch on that for a second? How did you get on your record journey? How did that start?
So I don't know about you, but growing up, I was more, I had my parents' albums when I was a kid and
Right,
my mom's
right.
45s, which I still have up here. But when I started buying music myself, I started buying cassettes. So this was the 80s. I was buying
Same.
cassettes. And it wasn't until in the 90s, and I got into collecting records mainly from like a DJ culture type thing. I wasn't like, oh, let me go out and get all the Beatles records. I was looking for samples and breaks and stuff to DJ with, like hip hop stuff.
Okay,
Um,
interesting.
and I've been
Did
in
you have a
bands.
gangster? Did you have a gangster rap phase when you were? Did you have like a
Yeah,
no?
I've
Okay,
always been. I mean,
okay,
not
sure.
not that extreme.
But you were sampling at that age. That's kind of a young thing to. That's kind of you got to be kind of no. You got to be
Yeah, I had friends and I
clear.
played in bands with guys that we had yeah, I was in a new metal band back in the day and we had a DJ in the band. And so I hung out with some DJs and a lot of times
Okay,
after shows or like late at night and stuff like that, we would just DJ and do mixes and stuff and just having fun, like super late night, like, you know. And that's
sure.
how I kind of got into it. I bought a buddy of mine, guy that's still with us today in the stream time to time, Tim, nice guy Timmy.
I'm gonna write them down. I want to know everybody who's everybody. If you'll let me just
Sure.
pause you for a second. Okay. I really do. I want to get invested in this show. I know Steve Fever. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
then you got Tim. Who else is on? But tell me all the characters. Who are the five main
I
characters?
mean, my ride or die now for the most part is Stupid Jay, and
Okay,
he'll hate that I said that, but Jay's
Jay.
here with
Just
me most of the time. Yeah, most people I call him Stupid Jay, but and then
who else you
Zonkman has
got?
started coming over within the past year. He comes over on Friday nights now.
Zonk Man. I like
But
Zonk Man.
I started the show. I see Scotty mention it. I started the show with Cameraman. I called him Cameron. He's
Cameron.
my best friend since elementary school. Like
Is
we
this
grew.
Steve Fever? Or this is
No,
somebody else.
no.
Okay,
This is
okay,
the
okay,
guy.
okay.
He's been on here recently. He's got a bald head, wears glasses.
Okay, I haven't
He's
seen enough
Captain
episodes.
Carburetor in the chat.
Okay, hey Captain Carburetor. I've seen him before
But
in the chat.
yeah, but we've been best friends since like elementary school, and
Oh
so
my
we
gosh.
started the show together, and it really
Okay,
started. I'll kind of parlay this into like a little bit of an origin story that maybe I didn't get
sure.
into, but
Please
like,
do. Sorry to interrupt.
so we had started doing Grown Man Record Night without cameras, without microphones, without anything. I was
Right.
pissed off that like when I would come home on a Friday night, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drink some liquor and I'm gonna watch a movie and I'm gonna play a video game and I'm gonna order dinner and I'm gonna do all this stuff. I would have half a glass of liquor and I'd fall asleep on the couch at 9:30 and wake up just pissed off, man. Like
I
there's my
miss
weekend.
Saturday
That's
night.
one of my Friday. I know there's a lot of people's like, I love sleeping. I'll sleep all weekend. I'm like, man, screw that. I want to make sure I get it all in when I can, you know?
Right.
And anyway, so that would piss me off so much that when I dug out my turntables and kind of got them hooked back up, we started Grown Man Record Night, just us hitting around listening to records. And the rule was you can't sit down. You can't sit down because I
Okay.
was like, if you're walking around at a keg party with a cup of keg beer, who gets sleepy at a keg party? Nobody. So like
You're
as
all
long as
standing up.
we were up hanging out, we were fine. We'd not get
Interesting. Yeah.
stuff like that. That's where it started. And we would call each other
That's
out. People
interesting.
would sit down and
No sitting.
you'd be like, no, get up, get up, get up. But so that's where it started. And then our pal, Sweet Tea is the one that,
Okay, Sweet Pea. Here's another one.
she is the one that has been archiving these potato chips for us for 12, 13 years now.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
I used to work with her. Me and Steve used to work with her in at the television station. And
Okay.
she's much like me. And like, I don't leave the house much. I'm kind of a
Uh-huh.
homebody. And she was
Uh-huh.
like, man, I would love to come hang out with you guys to, and listen to records.
Yeah.
But she was like, but I'll never do that. I'll never leave my house. And so me and Ryan, that's cameraman, we were sitting here thinking like, okay, how can we play records and like somehow stream it to where she can hear it? So we're both in the living room on our laptop and we're looking it up. And I'm like, hey, I found these two options for live streaming things. One was Justin TV, which later became Twitch.
Okay.
And I didn't know that at the time. So we had Justin TV and Ustream .tv was the two options. And I was like, I don't like the name Justin TV. That sounds weird. That sounds like, I don't know, I'm digging into somebody's IP. So we chose Ustream and figured out like we could set our phone on the turntable and it was picking up the room audio and then I sent her the link. I was like, hey, look, you can see and listen to what records we're playing. We're like, oh, this is cool. Well, me and Ryan are both wired to where like, okay, that's cool, but this audio sucks. How can we, surely there's a way to like, yeah, let's use, I don't want to use a phone. We got to be able to run a wire to something, hook something up to something and broadcast a good signal, you know, good area, good audio, good video. And that led us to like picking up, you know, I was using my old camera
Interface.
and
Right.
And there were limitations then. You couldn't do anything in HD back then. You absolutely had to stream an SD unless you were willing to pay like quite a bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of turned me into because making television for a living, you know, coming in and like editing a nice video for YouTube, that's not really hard for Steve and I. And I'm not doing that as a humble brag. It's literally what I do for a living. Right. So like that's a little too much like work. You know, it's like that's not as fun because to come home and like make a nice VC video. That just wasn't as much fun. Doing it live, now that's fun. We don't really do that much at work. And then I'm a big fan of Tim and Eric. I'm a big fan of Tom Green had a show in his house back in the day. Silliness, and I love the lo-fi aesthetic of what a lot of these guys were doing. And so what I did was like, okay, let's make it corny on purpose. So we broadcast at like 360p on an old SD camera. Oh, you know, cool. I wanted to get one of those old switchers with the kangaroo wipes and stuff. Like, like we wanted to make it look. The idea was to make it.
Do it live. Fucking do it live.
The whole idea was to make this look like public access, and it's just a vehicle for comedy. The records were kind of secondary, and I learned very quickly that the VC, and God bless you, I love all y'all to death, but there's a lot of people in the VC that do not have a sense of humor, and they do not fucking get that shit at all. They were like,
this is another reason
I was terrible. Look at the camera. Oh my God. It's like, all right, you're not getting it. So we had to kind of pivot. There's a pivot point. Like, okay, nobody's getting this. So we need to kind of pivot a little bit. But
that's cool though that you did it. You stuck to your guns and you just did it what you wanted to do. The fact that it's got this analog history, it's all it's so sweet. I almost like I'm a pretty sentimental person. Your little story about sweet tea almost brought a tear to my eye. It's so nice and sweet, and it's like, and to be honest, like so Tokyo Record Style is so I'm a producer. I'm a producer. I kind of try to keep my job separate from my YouTube channel, but I'm also a producer of things, and I have it in me to like get people together and in real life, and I'm constantly in a state of production. And we got this. We wanted very much the same kind of things. We wanted to put together a thing in real life, and we did a bunch of these things. But it wasn't 10 years ago that we were doing. We came up with a bunch of these ideas like 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, and one of them is like, you know, we basically do these like online gatherings where we go around Robin and we all show our records, but we do it in real life. And we actually have a DJ night called Tokyo Record Style. Oh, it's called Top 5 Records. And it's based on the high fidelity thing. And we pick a theme and we all DJ, and the night it's like a few DJs, then we have a talk show time, then it's a few more DJs, and then we have another talk show time. And the talk show time, you actually have to get up in front of the audience and you have to present 10 slides, the front and back of each of the 5 records that you've chosen for the thing. So it's just that it's in real life. That's something that I really, really dig. And like, sorry to interrupt, but the thing that I wrote to Chat GPT here was Grown Man Records. Hold on a second. What was the question? Oh no, wait, I gotta find the prompt. Okay, here it was. It was like, okay, so Mikey Bananas. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Okay, there's a guy named Mikey Bananas on YouTube and Twitch who runs a show called Grown Man Records Night out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, who will be on my stream tonight, Tokyo Record Style, for a casual interview. He seems to have existed in the YouTube community for a long time, over 10 years, and is the first channel in the VC to live stream. I want to ask you about that here in a second. Okay. On his live streams, he streams to both Twitch and YouTube simultaneously 4 or 5 days a week. On the streams, he just chats with friends, revolving cast of characters, and they talk about anything. He interacts with viewers in the gallery by answering questions that they ask and using their comments as conversation starters. I mean, this is basically. But then I say, let's see here. He plays some interactive games, and He also shows strange or cult classic movies or B movies, and he watches them with an audience. Oh, here we go. As they comment on them as they're playing, making jokes and just chatting while they play. The show sometimes feels similar to the Howard Stern Show or a typical morning radio show, also a little bit like Wayne's World or public access TV, and also a little bit like Mystery Science Theater 3000. So those were all the things that I picked up on when you said it. Like, oh, it feels like public access TV. It totally does feel like that. And then I go on to ask it a few more questions, and it spat out some kind of funny stuff. I'll have to share it, the rest of the conversation online. But
that's
the Wayne's World thing, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 or 2000 or whatever. Do you remember this one? Did you see this?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm a big
right.
fan. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, but the online and offline, and the fact that you guys actually have people like that you're talking to, and that you're not just like 4 boxes on the screen.
Yeah,
you're the only guy. I don't know who else is doing that.
And I think that's and honestly, those types of streams do way better than what we do. And I mean, I get it.
Yeah, but it's punk and cool that you're not. I think that. Who cares if you get a lot of viewers or not? But I don't know, I'm interested in you but I just didn't know about you. Yeah. But you could have not that that's what you're chasing, but if more people knew about it, I mean, I'm stoked to know about it now.
Hell yeah, man.
So
we're glad to have you.
Let me no, that's really nice. Let's keep going, but let me just stop here and let me talk to some of these people. I'm gonna go all the way back to the beginning. I'm
gonna grab my Zens.
Yeah, go grab your things. I'm just gonna say hi to you. Zet Pearl was here in the beginning before even the show started, and says Mikey Bananas and Grown Man Recognize is the OG of the VC streaming shows. He told me that he humbly said, I think we might be the first one to ever have streamed a show. Yeah, Rachel's show was on earlier today. I that was why I pushed it back. Thanks for accommodating that, by the way. I pushed the show back 45 minutes because are you attuned to Rachel's Ghost, or do you know all the VC characters? Yeah,
Rachel has been very, very sweet to us throughout the years, and I had to take quite a hiatus. My fiance passed a couple of years ago.
I heard that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
I appreciate it. But in the interim, she got us to 1,000 subs. Like, we were kind of always like right around there. And she was constantly shouting us out and stuff, and she's been very nice.
She's a gem. She's a nice man. I don't know. There's another one who's doing something totally different. What those guys do, I'm sort of flabbergasted. I can't even. It's sort of short circuits my brain at times. She should be on she should be on like broadcast TV. Yeah. So let's see. Chuck T's in the house. Yvonne's in the house. Appreciate you being here. Raji's in the house. Time is money. I can't wait 2 minutes between streams. Okay, yeah. So we just popped on right afterwards. Herc is here. Sup, dude? We need this X over the VC needs. Okay. Give me what I need. 40 Man's in the house. Our homies in Manchester. Tokyo Bananas is the GOAT. That's kind of funny. Okay, so Metal Theologian Bananas is like Carson, only with underwear instead of a turban. I can see that for sure. Carson, yeah, I can appreciate that. That's pretty good. And you're even better than Carson. They're saying here.
What he's referencing is we did a moonshine taste test episode one time. And
what's that about?
The blindfold. It was a bit, obviously, but where I was like, oh, we need a blindfold, so I don't know which is which. And so I was like, oh, I got one, and I went. And I pulled this pair of tidy whities out that I'd poured like magic shell on. So they're like stained. They're still over here somewhere. They're like stained tidy whities. And we tied that around my head as the blindfold. Yeah, that's a reference to that. But people were like, what the fuck is he doing? Like I'm really going to pull shitty underwear out and put it around my head. But the gags were when I was gagging, that was not a fake. That was not a bit. But yeah.
Okay.
That's what Metal Theologian's referencing. God bless him for it.
That's funny. I miss Carson actually. Like I didn't appreciate him at the time because we were kind of too young, a little bit. I mean, we watched him every night. We watched him every night, but I kind of did like now I go back and I watch him. Man, some of that stuff from that era doesn't age that well exactly, but he's just it was Norm. McDonald, who said like
Oh, the goat.
I loved he said like, going on Dave Letterman's show was tricky because, he's so sharp and like you can't screw around because he'll get you. He's so sharp. And when I realized, Norm said about the show that the guest is the joke. He said like Dave is the everyman. He doesn't know. He's in on the punchline. The audience is in on the punchline. The only person who's not on the punchline is the guest. And when Norm sort of like cracked that little chestnut, he started pulling a Dave on Dave. And that's when it sort of like went off the rails and got real fun. And like Carson, you can see, he was pretty, he wasn't as quick as like some of them, but he was pretty good. And
his swagger, his swagger just was what made him. Just he had this really nonchalant kind of confidence about him that really worked, in my opinion.
Yeah, have you gone back and like watched him from? I've never watched the early stuff. Okay, I haven't. So I should also. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, they actually come on over the air here at like 10 o'clock every night. They play like the Carsons from like back in the 70s and 80s and stuff.
Okay, I don't know young Carson when he was the stud that like all our kind of dads looked up. I don't know that Carson. I know the Carson, like white-haired Carson, and he was still cool. And he must have been like, if he had the Lamborghini and the shades, and maybe he was like, but I couldn't really see that when I was 12 or whatever it was. But I also have to preface this conversation with like my knowledge of music and pop culture is very basic. I have a lot of records. I love music. I've grown up on music, but I'm not a deep digger. I watch your show and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are buzzing at another kind of frequency.
Oh, and we don't. I mean, we're not shit compared to a lot of the VC. Like, it's just the stuff that we like, and what I always say, we're not the channel. We're not going to be arguing about different pressings, and we're not looking at matrix numbers and shit like that. That's really not our vibe. But
yeah, but I still can see just like your B movies and like there's just you're consuming enough of it to know what, and you're retaining enough of it. Buck Stops here is from South Africa in the house. What's up, Steven?
Oh, nice.
Bonanza is the top guy in the Crockett territory. You want to explain that?
He's referencing Jim Crockett from the old wrestling. Yeah, where it's being in the Southeast. This is the Crockett
another one. Okay, yeah. So that's another one. Like wrestling, I grew up on WWF and Junkyard Dog and Hulk Hogan and these guys, but I like it's left my brain. Although you might know this one. There was a woman announcer named Mike something. There was a woman, and in the WW eras, she went on for a long time. There was a woman who was like, and in this corner is Randy Macho Man, and in this corner, and she lived across the street from me. And every once a year there'd be like an 18-wheeler with the giant, pantheon of pro wrestlers on the side of the thing, and it drove everybody in the neighborhood a little bonkers. And there were giant dudes. I think like she was married to one of them. She was married briefly. Yeah, Rowdy Piper, maybe.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Kind of a wild, like, yeah.
And one of the first comments we got on the show was like, I detect a very distinct Mid-South wrestling vibe to the show, which is one of the best comments anybody's ever left on the channel.
Right. Yeah. Wrestling I need to get into. I think I saw like, Billy Corgan is suddenly into, I don't know if it's suddenly, but he's like, he's like completely associated with pro wrestling, which I find really interesting. And I'm like, yeah, it's just out there.
Me and Jay went to an event in Charlotte or Concord outside of Charlotte, and Billy Corgan was there. We saw Billy Corgan at a wrestling
event. Yeah. Get out.
But he was an owner of the NWA.
Right. Yeah. Of the of the wrestling crew. Right. He was a part owner of the thing. Yeah, that's crazy. The gal, her name is Michael, but she went by Mike. So she's got this bizarre, Mike.
Interesting.
This woman named Mike, yeah. And she, we never really went over there. Her kids were the age of my little brothers and sisters, but one time I did go over there, and her whole house was filled with black lights and velvet Elvis, like black light, like carpet paintings hanging on the walls.
That sounds amazing.
It
Gotta be
was
honest.
amazing. It was super psychedelic.
Oh yeah.
It was super psychedelic. Okay, I can't get to all of these guys, but I see Scotty in the house. Stunty's here.
Oh,
Just
Stunty,
wanted.
what's up, baby?
Okay. Let's see. We're still talking. Here's the baloney sack. Well, here's Stunty's got a question. What's the name of my fave one again? The guy who is constantly drunk and not necessarily aware of it. Who could that be? Any particular?
All of us? I don't know.
Okay. Carl the
Oh,
envelope.
Carl, he's talking about Carl.
Okay. What's Carl? Who's Carl the envelope? I haven't met him yet.
Carl lives in he lives at the coast here, and so he's about 3 hours away. And I grew up with Carl. We went to school together, and he was in our first. Me, Jay, and Carl were in our first garage band together back in the day.
What's that? Okay, you said you're a working musician. What's your instrument? What's your band? Was it DJing or did you play something? What do you do? Yeah,
I'm a guitar player. I'm a guitar player by trade. I played in a few bands, but notably a band called the 5 L's, and we were relatively regionally popular. We were a Jägermeister band.
What does that mean?
Jägermeister sponsored us, and they got us a lot of really cool shows. Cool. I don't know if you guys have ever heard me tell the story, but we actually opened for Slayer one time.
Get out! Wow.
The reason I say that, I've told the story like 1,000 times, and people.
That's okay. I'm new. You can tell me. That's what I want to hear. The stories that you've told 1,000 times. But tell them all here.
That was the biggest. Like, it was Thanksgiving night, 2005, 2006, 2004. I can't remember. But in Atlanta, this was the lineup. It was us. Wow. It was us, then Mastodon, then Killswitch Engage, then Slayer. That was the lineup that night.
Wow.
Yeah. And the Slayer people threw shit at us. They booed us off stage. I mean,
oh my God.
We didn't leave the stage, but
that's dangerous.
That's dangerous. They were throwing rocks at us. They were throwing.
Oh my God.
Our singer had like long dreadlocks, and somebody in the front row yelled the N-word at him, and I'm like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And he was
Atlanta. Yeah. I saw you'd mentioned that Dead record you played yesterday, Wooden Set. I was so digging that. That was so groovy. And speaking of Atlanta, I saw the Dead 4 nights in Atlanta at the Omni. Yeah, in '94 maybe. It was a trip. It was like down. I didn't expect. We didn't know what we were doing. We drove. We were like 17. We were like 16 or 17 years old. Like drove a Volkswagen, '74 Volkswagen air cooled, piece of shit, from Oklahoma to Atlanta, downtown. Awesome. Like the Omnis, I don't know if it's a rough part of Atlanta, but it was kind of scary. It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Atlanta at all, but it was fun. And we had a good time. Yeah. 4 nights and camping at Stone Mountain, really good times.
Yeah.
Wow. So so can we listen to your music? Is it out there? Is the band, what's the story with the band? Is it getting together? Are you guys?
No, well, we've talked about, we did a show a couple of years ago, a one-off thing. And I mean, we had tried to do a vinyl pressing of our biggest album, I guess, back in the day. And it was like a crowdfunded thing that didn't really come together. And so it was like, we tried. I think it's still like out on Spotify and stuff like that. As somebody said.
Okay. 5 L's on Spotify. Like, wait, spell it. Is it just the 5 LL? Where does 5 L's come from? I should know.
Well,
is it secret?
It really came before me. I'll preface this by saying it came before I was in the band. I mean, I joined just a couple months later, but like, original, I guess it came off a can of tomatoes. It was like 6 L's tomatoes or something like that. Okay. But also like, obviously like a weed reference and shit like that, like an L, like passing an L.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I was never really a big fan, and we always ran into problems. Like we'd go to a club. Sometimes there wouldn't always be 5 of us. We had different iterations. And they would be like, well, we already let 5 guys in. I'm like, no, dude, I'm in the band. He's like, no, I'm carrying a guitar and like a pedal board. I'm like, you think I'm doing this just to get in free, carrying this shit? Like, let me in, you idiot. Like, that happens so often.
The name of the band is The 5 L's or 5L, or what is it?
The 5 L's, like L apostrophe S, yeah.
L apostrophe S. Okay, I'm not seeing it on Spotify, but that's okay. Go look up.
Yeah. There's
okay, that's cool.
And I've learned it's still, there's a Brazilian YouTube channel that's posted the entire album, and people in other countries, I guess, still like really dig it. It's like new metal is still like really popular, I guess, in certain countries. And
sure.
Popping on And it really it started out as like,
you probably should come to Japan. You probably have a big, you should come to
and
Japan.
I know there's a resurgence now, like with TikTok culture. A lot of the new generation is finding like new metal stuff and like getting interested in it, which I find is interesting. And we kind of progressed like toward the end of it. We were much more of like a metalcore band than new metal, because originally, I mean, we had MCs and a DJ and shit like that. And we were doing it before Limp Bizkit. I mean, you know, before they got popular. But
so who did you grow up on? Who were your kind of 5 or 10? What was your thing? Was it I saw a Fishbone record that you're making me wishing I had bought that record the other day. What did you grow up on?
Number one artist in my entire life is Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry is rock and roll to me. When I was 3 years old, I've still got the tape right over here. I keep it in this drawer because I've wore it out. But I put Chuck Berry on and just lost my mind as a little kid.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I was
and
still,
you played
like,
Johnny Be Good at the junior high talent show, and you knew
I played it on a tennis racket in my bedroom until it, like, the strings popped. That's how much I loved it.
That's
but
awesome.
That's really I mean, Chuck Berry is up there. Nirvana completely changed my life when I was in I was kind of a goody two shoes kid. People wouldn't believe this. I was a goody two shoes kid. Didn't drink, didn't smoke. I mean, I was like, you know, in like a fellowship of Christian athletes and like just a straight laced, nice young Republican kid kind of thing. And like, I don't, something about like Nirvana and like that. It hit me right at the right time. And, you know, you're the same age. Like it was right as I was kind of figuring it out. And like, as soon as I started getting kind of inklings of like, yeah, fuck the man, I'll do whatever I want, you know, like that music kind of fueled that kind of fire in me. And I kind of left that in a local band that I followed called Of Dying Dreams. I say it's my favorite band of all time. I mean, Nirvana and Of Dying Dreams, they were a metal band that me and Jay followed around here. But they were a very operatic, like heavy band that I just absolutely, still to this day, like I'm friends with the guys on Facebook, and when the singer comments on a post or something, I'm like, I tell Jay, like, dude, Chris Ferguson commented on my post. It's like, yeah, he's a graphic designer just living his life with kids and stuff. Like, to me, it's like Dave Grohl commented on my post. That's what it still feels that way to me.
Right.
But
okay, wait. Of My Dying Dreams. I'm not a big metalhead.
Of Dying Dreams.
Of Dying Dreams. Okay, I'm gonna give it a spin. Hey, I'll tell you something kind of fun that I did in the last year. So I did one of these vinyl. I participated in a bunch of these vinyl tags. You know,
yeah, they're great.
They're fun, right? And I being from Japan, I was like, oh, maybe I should do a Japan one. Maybe the people get on board because they got like Japanese presses and all OBs and all this stuff. So I put together this sort of like loose Japanese vinyl tag where you could like, because Japan is like the land of the rising sun. What's a sunrise soundtrack?
Oh, cool. Or I saw that floating around the VC.
It might have been, yeah. So what I did was I told everybody who did it, I'm not expecting how many people would do it, that I would listen from beginning to end, all 20 records that they put forth for their vinyl tag. And dude, I've listened to like, I'm only halfway through the damn thing. I thought I was going to be done with it in like a couple weeks, and I'm like 6 months into it, and I'm still listening to new music, and it's the fucking most awesome way to discover new music. It's really analog and super cool. And like metal is one of these things where, you know, like there's this guy in Brazil named Guz 69, right?
Yeah,
and the list
he's
he put forward was, he's cool. And the list he put forward was pretty metally. It was kind of like South American, you know, like that kind of like stadium metal. I don't know what you call it, but it was everything. I don't want to say it was like anything. It was broad metal. And like Marty Friedman, who played with who? I can never remember who he played with. Do you know Marty Friedman? I think somebody will know in the chat. He lives here in Japan, and like he's at things that I'm at all the time. Not all the time, but often. And I never talked to him, and I never really knew who he was. I knew he played like Megadeth or somebody. Like I forgot who he played with. And I've listened to like 5 of his records, and they were so good. And like metal was one of these things where I was like, I don't have any metal, and so I'm just like, I'm expanding my horizons this year. This has been like you didn't think you could like possibly discover like a new way to learn music or to
Yeah.
appreciate music, and I definitely found one. So Chuck Berry, that's really interesting. That's I'll tell you, this is a piano right behind me. Are you playing? Do you get some licks in every couple days, or do
Yeah,
you
I'm
not
still
play too much?
playing. The plan this year, my New Year's resolution is I've got, like, me and Jay and Steve, we did a project a few years ago called Slaw, that we recorded some kind of stoner rock stuff, and that kind of, I don't know, we just didn't really finish it 100%. But I've got an idea this year. I'm going to put out. The plan is to record like 4 shitty punk songs,
Good.
that are kind of funny, that I've been working on for a long time, and I want to put it out this year. That's my New Year's resolution. And I'm not
When I
really a
asked you
New Year's resolution guy.
if you got the band, if you were going to get the band back together, my mind instantly went to that Fred Armisen Saturday Night Live skit where they're like,
Oh yeah.
"Honey, I'm so happy. I hope you don't mind. We got the boys back together, and we're gonna get the band back together." I want to say I'm getting some flack in the chat here because I'm not saying hello to people, but Miss U's giving you Miss U. I see you in the I see you out there. She's part of your world. I feel like more than
she's one of my mods. She is.
Okay.
She
Yeah,
is.
Miss you. So I play a bit of piano, and I'm horrible, but I love to play. Miss you. I actually have a song I want to do for you. So you look out for me, and I have a song that I in particular I want to do for you. So let me just see. Okay, so Yvonne's saying, "Don't worry, Brian's shitty at this this thing." I'm actually like, I've got some people fixated on me a little bit. I've gone through a little bit of a trolling. I'm having to deal with people who I learned this new phrase this year: toxic positivity. And I think there's like my vibe doesn't go well with people who like are curmudgeons and being out there. They're like, they wanted to bring me down or something, and I like, it doesn't even bother me, but I just kind of like, I figure I like engage with them for a little bit and try to like pull them in rather than push them out, but eventually I found out that it's kind of a hopeless cause, and I'm anyway.
Well, to that point,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like, when we first started doing this, I mean, initially, like, we wanted to, get bigger, and I wish more people could see it. And, maybe people are like, oh, that's not for me. Cause some people go, what the hell's funny about music? Ain't nothing funny about music, cause we try
music
to be funny.
Belongs in Zappa's got that record. Does comedy belong in music? I love that record.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. We're not everybody's cup of tea or whatever, but like, but there's been times where a video or a stream, for whatever reason, gets picked up by the algorithm, and I'll have like hundreds more views than normal. And which is what we wanted, or it's what I wanted, right? And then that's the only time where all the negative bullshit creeps in, the comments, and I'm like, do I even want to get bigger? Like, I think I'm pretty I've come to the conclusion I'm pretty happy with the community that we've built,
right?
And we're all fairly like-minded.
Right.
We don't take things too seriously, and we kind of on the same wavelength kind of thing. So as much as that's what I wanted, like, I wanted to get picked up by the algorithm and have 1 million subscribers. But if you have to deal with just ass clowns all the time doing that, no thanks. No thanks.
I hear you.
Life's too short for that shit, man.
Well, you seem to have kind of circumnavigated. You don't even have to look very hard to see that, like, oh, he's existing outside of all of this. And yet that's why I kind of was like asking you, like, are you aware that there's this thing called the VC? And you were like, oh yeah, I know everybody.
Yeah,
everybody knows it. I was like,
we're kind of the redheaded stepchild. We've never really followed exactly the rules.
I really respect that a lot.
I tried, like, I did videos and I did vinyl tags, and
you can do both, but you just you can do whatever you want, and you can do both. You can do if you're a tease. Let's talk about that a little bit. I don't want to take so much of your time, but you do have so many. Let's talk about the format. Let's talk about hold on, let me pull up, let me share a screen or two. Oh, can I just skip over your comments? Anybody, if anybody's I'm sorry, I can't get to them all. There's too many. Mike McGurk, Yvonne, you guys are talking to yourselves. I think Cheese Carl, I am so far behind, I can't keep up with them. There's just too many of them. Jaeger and coffee. We're just getting caught up with Jaeger here. Okay, wait. Dude ass faces here. What's up, Yvonne? What's up, you? What's up, Brian? Okay, love Slayer, Mikey. That's Atlanta for you. All right. Let's see. Jaeger is I know Jaeger, but I just don't know what Jaeger band. I didn't know what a Jaeger band is. Okay, so I see. It's just. I hope you guys can entertain each other. And sorry that I'm not doing a very good job of engaging with you all, but I'm enjoying this conversation so much. I'm trying to see if there's anybody here who I haven't said hello to. Yvonne, I love you too. Miss You nights are the longest. Let's see. Stunned Rock. You know what brings Martin Luther King and Oh God, I'm not even going there. So let's talk a little bit about. I'm really enamored by. Well, first of all, your sign off. That just like today's. I don't know. I can't watch. I often have to like. Your streams are kind of. They're not long, but.
Sure.
My time zone is like I'm often like having to hop off, and I'm like, okay, I got to get time. It's work time, or it's breakfast time, or it's like it's time for me to. I can't be here anymore, and so. But you've got the American flag flame, waving at the end, and this has been a production of so and so. We want to thank all the people who've been here today, and it's just like and we've got please we send the thanks out to this. And I was like, are any of these things real, or is this just like patter for the TV show, or is this like a real thing? This guy's got to be in some kind of TV production where he knows how to pull this all together. But so you've got this whole little mousetrap that is all these things are connected to each other. And I want to pull up your Twitch real quick because I want everybody to see this. I don't really have much to say about it, but I just want to pull up share screen. I want to show the your schedule here. So you've got these, it looks like you're streaming 5 days a week for a hefty chunk of time. On Monday, you got a 4-hour show. On Tuesday, this is my Tuesday. I don't know.
Yeah, it's your time. So it's like slid like a whole day. Yeah, that's funny.
Right. It's a whole day off. But so don't reference this as whatever. Go sign up, go if you're not already following Grown Man Records. But you're on so Sunday Shelving Show. Let's just go through these real quick. That's your what goes on Sunday Shelving Show?
So the flagship is Friday, and when we first started, we only streamed on Friday. That's the mothership. That is Grown Man Record Night is Friday,
right?
And and then we started incorporating Wednesday, where we play a lot of Call of Duty and stuff on Wednesday nights, and that turned into like we did that, and then we watched like a shitty movie afterwards, and would chill. And once Finn passed away, I didn't really know what to do with my time, and I was like, I'm gonna start streaming every day. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do. So I'm just going to start streaming. And that's what I did. And it was very helpful. And a lot of these people I've said thank you a million times, but some of the people in the chat now that were there with me, like every time I hit go on the machine, these people were there in chat, which was, I'll never forget that. But so that started like, okay, Monday and Tuesday, we're playing Call of Duty. Wednesday, I'm playing some old Nintendo games and then watching a shitty movie. I left Thursday off because I know Michael Pilmer streams back in the day, Mr. Bizarro streams. So I was like, I won't you go. They'd probably squash me anyway. But then Friday we do the main show. Don't stream on Saturdays just so I can kind of basically get as fucked up as I want with having to be on camera. To be honest, without having to worry about hitting buttons.
Okay.
And then Sunday, the Shelving Show, that came about just out of like, let's do something on Sunday. So what we do is down here below, everything we've played like on Friday night, like we play records again, and me and Jay just sit here and we just open the mics and just chat while the records are playing. But we only pull records from down here so that I can play them and then put them back on the shelf, because as much as I love collecting records, I fucking hate reshelving records. I cannot stand it. And the way to make me do that is to play the record, make a part of the show, play the record, and then put it back on the shelf. Okay. That's what Sunday's all about. It kind of came about as a necessity, because Jay would be like, "Dude, there's 200 records in your floor."
On a floor.
Like I know, dude. So that's how that came about.
That's another little. I like these little kind of don't sit down record shelving night. I like these little constraints that you put on. It's like they say that you to have to think. Constraints help you become more creative. So those are two really cool, interesting. So and today's whatever I saw your yesterday was like you had your show you had a show going on. I kind of don't know the format. I've watched I've tuned in, I'm going to say like 14 days, and I've caught bits and pieces of everything. And I don't even, or maybe more, but basically what happened was I put together a calendar recently of all the YouTube live streams, like a Google calendar. And I went and just was like, because I wanted to stream and I didn't know like, who am I going, I don't want to stream over anybody. And I was like, when is everybody, it'd be helpful to like, I had this idea, like when I first came in, when I was trying to figure out who was who. I'm a API guy, and I'm like connecting things in Slack, and I'm like, I thought, oh, this would be useful to everybody. What if we made this like a directory of things so that everybody can get connected in that there was a bunch of like naysayers that it got immediately shut down. And I was kind of surprised because I was just trying to like get people together, and then. But it was, like a privacy thing. But then I'm trying to think of just like, I'm constantly doing kind of what you're doing. I'm not exactly following through. I'm over engineering these kinds of ideas, like put the records away. I'm like, what can I, I'm thinking about those kinds of processes. And anyway, the calendar was like something that I put together, and I was just asking around, like, who, am I missing anybody? And they're like, oh, you're missing Grown Man Records. I'm like, Grown Man Records? I've never seen that channel. And so that's how I kind of got attuned to it.
Oh,
and that
cool.
was just like a month ago. And it might have been Stunty. It might have been Stunty who told me about you, but I kind of asked around, like, who am I missing? So now I have this kind of calendar of like 50 that I know of, like 50 people who are live streaming. And where was I going with that? So today's thing that I saw today, it's like you had your show. I don't know exactly what we were watching, but we listened to some. We watched you guys interact. There was a game being played. You've got some interactive games, not like not streaming games, but like interactive games that you're playing with. Tell us about those two real quick. The two. I mean, I don't know. What's the difference between like streaming Call of Duty and like the pop-up games that you guys, the marble games and like the card games? Like,
well, we just use that as a part because the community can be involved with the marbles game, and it's kind of became part of it's a way to break the show up, because the actual talk show, which is typically about 2 hours or so, and we do all the different segments, and to break up like the news and the stuff about the records that came out this week, and then we go over what we played, and then we do but to break that up before we go into dig of the week, which is like a new stuff we picked up, we usually pop up, and we've done this just in the last few years, I guess. Marbles on stream, where you can like chat can actually like enter the game, and then you have a marble that runs.
right.
It's just a fun way to kind of break the show up a little bit, and have some bragging rights.
But then in Twitch, you also have like, to be honest, like Twitch is a little bit of like the Wild West to me. It's like a whole. I mean, I've been in and out of Twitch for 3 or 4 or 5 years, but every time I comment, I have some reason to go in for 4 months, and then as soon as that thing is over, I'm kind of out, and I never quite master what it is. But you guys have you've got your own. Basically your own Discord, you have your own commands, your own line commands, basically. And I don't even know like the first thing about this. I know this is like really common knowledge to everybody, but like when you built out your Twitch channel, I mean, how did you go from like YouTube to Twitch? Like, what was that about?
Well, so the progression we were streaming on Ustream, and
right? No, wait. I'm sorry if you already said this, but like, why the two different platforms?
Well, originally we could. That was the only place you could stream, was like Ustream or Justin TV. So we did Ustream, and then we would record the show. Then the next morning, I would upload it to YouTube.
Because you couldn't stream on YouTube.
No, it was before YouTube allowed streaming.
Okay.
So I've been streaming before YouTube even allowed it. So I'm probably not the first one to ever stream on YouTube, but I'm the first one to stream in the VC for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Right.
But the cool thing with like Ustream, and then once you were able to stream on YouTube, we're like, okay, cool, bet. We're going to move everything over to YouTube, and you can actually stream in HD. Perfect. Now, the problem is we play a lot of music that, the talk show is only part of it. But YouTube and music doesn't jive very well. There's lots of copyright considerations. And the rhyme or reason that some people get away with it. Patrick does a good stream. Mr. Bizarre does a good stream, like where they play music. And there's, some people say you can really get away with it for about 2 hours. But all of a sudden you'll play one, and it gets yanked and it pulls the stream down. And if you've ever live streamed, if your stream drops, if you got 10 viewers, if your stream drops for 2 seconds, and goes off and comes back, your 10 viewers went to 3 viewers. So
Right.
I don't ever want that to happen. And so that's when it became, let's move to Twitch, which has copyright stuff in place, but they don't yank your stream down live like YouTube does. So we can go over to Twitch and play whatever the hell we want.
Right.
And then when it's time to do the actual show, to make sure everybody can be involved, because I realized that like the majority of record collectors are probably a little bit older. Not a lot of people that are going over to Twitch and watching Call of Duty streams and stuff like that. I'm just kind of a weirdo. I'm a big esports guy. I love gaming.
Right.
I love esports. And so, and I know as a almost 50-year-old man, that's probably not the norm.
No shame, no judgment. No, good.
But
cool.
but getting people to come from YouTube over to Twitch was a process. And actually Marbles was one of the ways we got people to come over. Believe it or not.
Okay.
So we've got the majority of people watch us on Twitch, which is I prefer the Twitch environment. We would have more. It sounds shitty to say, but like, and that's another whole wormhole to go down. I would probably get more viewers on YouTube, but between you and me and the people that are watching, I make more money on Twitch. And that's another thing that's going to make people pissed off right off. Some people, if you mention money involved in any of this, you're immediately like, fuck this guy. But like, and it's not because I'm not,
I'm making money. I've passed those thresholds on YouTube. I don't know. I hope I want to fucking make money. I'm not. It's not the motivator, but if I can support my record habit and buy all, or my phone bill, whatever it is, I'll use. But really, what I want to do is I want to pour it back into the thing so I can.
Exactly.
I want to get better at it. That's really what I want.
My only goal was, and I'm not monetizing on YouTube. It's just because we say fuck too much. I mean, there's lots of reasons we would probably get demonetized anyway. So I don't even bother with YouTube. But the thing on Twitch was, because they're owned by Amazon, if you have an Amazon Prime account, and yes, this is a pitch. No, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can just link your account and hit a button, and it gives us a paid sub. And it doesn't cost you anything if you have Amazon Prime already. So I figured, like, all right, bet. How many of these people that watch us?
Sorry. I didn't catch that. If you are a subscriber to Amazon Prime, they give you a paid sub. What do you mean? What does that mean? Oh, that you get a paid subscription to Twitch? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So you can go and support one. You get one free sub on YouTube per month that you can drop to your favorite creator, your favorite channel, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. So I figured, like, if people could do that, I would make $20-$30 a month. I could get a pizza and a 6-pack every now and then. That was kind of the point. People have been way more generous than that, and which I really appreciate. But that was really the point. And it wasn't really I'm not trying to quit my job or anything like that, but but yeah, but to your point, and a lot of people monetize their YouTube channels and stuff now. In the old VC, man, they would have ran you out of town for that. I mean, I got told early on. I came late, maybe. This is got here because it was early on. There was something really special about it because it was just a community of people showing records, interacting, a lot of interacting. Somebody would create a thread. Other people were making stuff about it. People became real life friends. There were phone calls. There were Skype calls. It was a really, I don't want to sound like an old man yelling at clouds. There was a much more sense of community then. It's gotten really big. It wasn't as near as big as it is now. So not to be like, oh, it's better in my day, but it was much more like more about the connections back then, I would say. And then the idea of like, people, what is this guy doing using graphics? Everybody just set their phone up or whatever and just did their little videos, which was great. And I learned a lot, but I can't let that, it's like, oh, I can set up a second camera and I can bring in some graphics and we'll load in a stinger and we can do transit. That's how my brain works. But people are kind of like, what's this guy doing? They told me what like
a stinger is. What's
like a transition, like something across the screen.
Okay, stinger. All right. I'm learning. Okay.
But they told me, they were like, man, people make 10, 20-minute YouTube videos in the VC. This is a direct quote. Nobody is going to watch an hour-long live stream. That's what they told me.
Right.
And now look at the VC. It's like 60% live streams, which is great. I love that people kind of got on the train and, because it's fun. It's a fun way to interact. And COVID is really where that came from. It really took off during COVID, and people started understanding the power of the live stream, and especially how it can be a supplement to your other content, which is what I should be doing. And I'm really bad about not producing regular VC videos anymore. I just really haven't felt it lately. But supplementing those two things together is a really good way to do your VC channel, in my opinion. Not that I've got 20 million subscribers or anything, but like it's a good way to go, I think.
Man, I got so many more questions, and we're at an hour, but I just got a lot more. I want to know about this technical stuff. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I want to know about, like, how do you get I want to ask how do you get the YouTube bot to comment on how do you get the chat going to both places at the same time, as an example question? I got a bunch of those kinds of things.
Okay.
I think I'm going to filter them to you over the next couple months, and maybe you can like chat me up, or maybe we can have another one of these. But I want to ask you real quick about and I want to let you go, but this is so fun. It's also 3 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm chilling, man. As long as I'm talking about me, I can go all day.
I appreciate it, man. No, it's so cool to hang out. So you said you didn't make you're not making like regular videos anymore, but I'm wondering, you obviously have this like creative wild hair. You like to create, you're creative, we're all creative, but like you've been in a band, you got your own TV show, you love music, and so on and so on. But and now our friend Rachel, I don't know if you were following closely what happened, but like I think her show's come and gone a couple of times. I don't know if you're aware of that, but like she blew up her channel once, and then she's blown it up a second time. And when she blew it up the second time, I think she like blew up like 2.5 or 3 years worth of live streams. They all like went away, and she didn't. And part of my sort of like idea with her was like, oh, you could like write a little synopsis about all your different streams. So like if you went looking for that one stream that you talked about, Portugal's blah, 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 you could go find it. If you had this little database that you could kind of like cross-reference things and find out who was on the thing. I was sort of pitching this idea to her, and you could back up everything, and God forbid your show got canceled, but you could go put it somewhere else because you'd have all the backups. And she said, no, I'm not interested. Then she cut her show off, and she lost everything. And I asked her, like, do you regret that you lost? Did you lose that you lost all your archive, everything that you created, like all your creative work? And I know that like artists, they create things for the sake of creating them and not for the sake of keeping them, but still it's referenceable creativity. And everybody likes to go back and look at their pictures every once in a while, and be like, oh my God, those were good times, And so she said, no, I don't care about it. I'm done with it. I'm over. And I really pressed her about it. Like, do you really don't wish that you had it somewhere? She said, no, I don't care, because I'm not going to go back and watch it, for one. But what I want to ask you is like, now your art form, I mean, first of all, does Twitch get art? How does Twitch get archived, or is it
that you save them for a while and then they go away? And I usually, because I'm kind of riding that line of copyrighted material and stuff, I usually delete Twitch streams the next day. I save like our Friday night shows because I know they're clear and safe, but like anything we do during the week, I just delete, unless I hit some nasty clip on Call of Duty or something, then I may save that off. Other than that,
what if I go rewatch that over and over?
There's some cool clips in there.
Okay. What about like but to me it's interesting that your new creative form is very ephemeral. It's only for this one a point of time, and it doesn't exist anywhere. Maybe it does, like in the annals of the deep machine or whatever, but like it's interesting. Do you ever like, how did that change the difference between making, because I'm making these videos and they talk about like evergreen content, and when you make a video 5 years ago and suddenly people are interested in it now. Do you have any like not regrets, not exactly the right word, but do you wish that you could, I mean, how do you feel about that? Is that a correct depiction of what you're doing? Are you creating something that exists for now and for this thing? Does that feel like an act of art, an artistic act, or It feels like it is to me, but I'm kind of curious how you
I mean,
think
there's
about it, if you
certainly
ever.
an element of delusions of grandeur in there, which
Okay.
that's part of my brain chemistry is delusions of grandeur for sure. But and I've always, when I was a kid, I've seen myself as a talk show host or a game show host, or
Right.
I've always felt that way. Like I've just kind of been wired that way. But I like that all of the shows, the proper shows, they're all saved on YouTube. So we're up to, like, last night was episode 593, and
Wow.
all of those are on YouTube. So you can go
Okay.
back and watch like
That's so much.
the first chip chat. You can watch. We were using a stick mic, walking around had a stick mic with a 45 on it. We were walking around doing it in the stick. Cameraman that's why we called him cameraman. He was holding the camera, and I was talking into a mic like a reporter. And
Okay.
it's fun to go
Behind the
back and
desk?
watch this. No, there was no desk. We were just standing up. And then there's an episode where you can see, like, we got a brand new desk here.
I love the desk. I fucking love the desk. It's
and it was
so
clean.
great.
There was nothing on it, and there was nothing written because we graffiti the desk and the stickers on it and stuff. But back then it was
Right.
just a clean, fresh desk. It was like, look, we can sit down now. But
The
yeah,
desk is
I
cool.
love going back and watching that, and I love that is archived. The Twitch stream thing is kind of more of a, just like what's happening right now. It's just a hang session. It's much more of just a
Right.
hang session. And really, I mean, like I was mentioning before, we kind of came out of necessity. I mean, I like streaming, and I watch a lot of streamers like on Twitch anyway. I just kind of like that vibe, that hanging out, the community vibe. You get more of that. And then originally in the VC, you got that with comments. People would leave you comments on your videos. You would go back and forth with them. That may turn to like sending a few emails or whatever. So it happened that way. And then once live streaming kind of came in, now we have the chat here that we can kind of do that with. And if you stream on the regular, you know, chat knows a lot of stuff about you. They knew that you were going to have a really shitty day today. You were going to be really busy. So you got people asking you like, hey, how did the day go? How did that thing do? It becomes more of a back and forth. It's much more of a community, a sense of community thing than it is like an art, I would say.
I think you're selling it a little bit short, and that's my opinion, because I do understand completely what you're saying, and it is a community, but we could have had this conversation on the phone without people watching it,
right?
And yet we've put it out there in a way that we're showing the world our conversation ability or something like this. And I'm not saying it's an artful conversation, but I'm saying there is something performative. I don't know, but like
100%.
You're burying yourself.
I'm a ham. I'm a natural
you're good
born
at it.
ham.
You're really good at it. And I think it is a communal thing, and it is about people, and it's about hanging before it's about something else. But there's also this creative thing that I'm really attuned to, that I think you're really good at. And that's
I appreciate
one of the things that's
and
really attracting me to the show. Yeah.
I'd said when I stopped playing music, because that's when when I started doing record night, I was running around playing shows every weekend for decades. I was always playing 2-3 shows a week, and that was my life. And I really, once all of a sudden that faucet got turned off, and I'm like, well, shit, what the hell do I do on a Saturday night now? And that kind of I didn't know what to do. So that turned into kind of listening to records and hanging out. The original plan, and some people, even maybe the old school people, don't even really know this. The plan was, once the band stopped, I was going to make my move into stand-up comedy.
Right.
And try my hand at stand-up comedy. That was the plan. And this has kind of taken the spot of that. And I've kind of wrapped it around music and records, which I obviously love, but don't get it twisted. All of that, including So to Speak and Chip Chat and all that stuff, it's all just a vehicle for comedy.
Interesting.
That's really how I view it. And yeah, do we get in the nuts and bolts of like this band versus that band and stuff like that? Sure, because we're music nerds. But at the root of it, I'm just looking for a microphone and a camera to try to be funny. That's all I've ever wanted to do, just be funny.
There's a record store in Tokyo. It's no longer here. It only it opened like 2 or 3 years ago, and then it closed. Like, the gal who opened it was really sick, but it was this little first floor apartment with like a sliding door that opened right up to the street, and the entire store was like little cubby boxes, 100 little cubby boxes, and you could go in there and rent a box for 20 bucks a month, and you could sell records. And she had two different plans that you could either do the annual plan, and that gave you 5%, or her 5%, and then, or whatever it was. And I drove past it, and it was brand new, and I'm a record guy, and I was like, what is this? And I walked in, and she explained to me in Japanese, like, oh, la, 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 la. I was like, wait a second. I was like, and then I was like, oh, this is, wow, that's interesting. Okay, it's like a consignment record shop only, and I started going there all the time, and every little box has this little sign on it that says Mr. So-and-so's blah blah blah. And I ended up having my little cubby store in there, and it was a record shop of record shops, and all these little cubbies were like a different blues and jazz, and everybody had something different. And it had to be music related, didn't necessarily have to be records. But I went, and I was like, how only in Japan? This is so cool, And I made a little like I photographed it or something, and everybody was like, wow, this is so cool. Not only were my non-Japanese overseas friends impressed by it, but my Japanese friends here were like, wow, that's so cool. Where is that place? I want to go. And I thought, well, I should start, maybe documenting like Tokyo music and record culture more. That seemed to, like, everybody seemed really interested in that. And I'm already going to these record stores anyways. And so that's how it kind of started. And then I thought, well, you can only go to so many record stores. And then I started thinking, like, okay, well, Tokyo records, I should just do some Tokyo stuff. I don't know, tangentially connected to music. And then style was like this word that I was like, maybe like motor, because I ride around Tokyo on a motorcycle. Like, maybe style can be like, I mean, I do photograph people and they're fat. Like, maybe it could be like, what is style? What could it be? Design? Could it be anything? So I always like Tokyo record style. Like, it kind of became, and everything, my whole world, but it always comes back to the record, right? The record is in the name, and you've got record in your name. And even though, like you said, it goes back to comedy, which I really love, but you do have this like common thread through the conversations that music is central to the thing. And I don't know, there's just something about that music takes precedent over so many other things. It's cool that it comes back, and I like to hear that it's also like comedy is a really big thing. Mikey, this has been a really fun conversation. I really appreciate it. I didn't even scratch the surface of the things that I wanted to chat about. I actually had like so many other things. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was really cool. Man. I really liked your show a lot. I like the characters. I want to know it more. Anybody who's checking this out who doesn't know about Grown Man Records, you've heard the story. I'm sure everybody here knows you. I'm the only one that's like,
you never know, man. Like, it's,
but I hope that, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's the way the VC works. Sometimes people slide by and I'm like, how did I never interact with this guy? Like, I mean, I've told that story a few times, like a few different people that ended up being really good friends. And you're like, we've both been making videos for a long time. How have we never interacted? Like, that's just, I always find that. So it's cool. It's like I mentioned off the top, like, it's even this long in the tooth that we are, that we can still make new pals, and like, oh shit, like I've never seen this before. What is that? And I felt the same way about your channel. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like,
you should come to Japan, man. Come to Japan.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Hey, I even wore my this is my Japanese fishing line t-shirt.
Oh, we didn't talk. You're a fisherman. You fish.
Yeah, my dad's
and you're a golfer
bass
too.
Fisherman. Yeah, and play golf.
Okay, also I'm from Oklahoma. We're big bass. We were actually, dude. My grandfather was an engineer for Zebco. He's got like a heap of patents of reels.
You know, Zebco started as a bomb manufacturer.
Bomb company, 0 Degree Bomb Company. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of kindred vibes here, man. I really got off on this chat. It was real. I'm glad. Thank you so much for making the time for me. I really appreciate it. Let me just, before I let you go, let me just say bye to everybody. Scotty, people sitting on the, okay, I just thank you guys for being here. I know I'm a gajillion miles behind. Miss you. I owe you a deep apology.
You don't know her nothing.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I want to give you the love that you deserve, but I can't to have the conversation that I want to have. Dude, ass face, thank you so much. Records are the coolest, full stop. Focus on who you are. Yes, I don't claim to be a pro. And I'm a narcissist, and I'm talking about myself.
Don't pay her any attention.
Sorry about that.
She's a loose cannon.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Art is formal. Firmal. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Buck sucks. I'm not being a stick in the mud, but a lot of the last end focus on politics. Sadly, politics. Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm not. I'm actually not invested. Are you a political person? You get kind of wound up about politics? I don't. I'm kind of out of the.
I covered politics for a long time, and
Okay.
I have a very inside working knowledge of how politics works, and I liked that being an observer. So where I could, no matter what side is it on, I'd be like, "Nah, man, here's a microphone. Say your thing, man. Say your thing."
Yeah,
And
I'm
I like
totally.
being like that. The way things are now, where you can't even have a discourse about anything, is just fucking
No,
stupid.
I like different ideas. I like to be wrong. I
Yeah,
like to have my mind changed. I
sure.
like different perspectives. I like reading. I'm not into like tribes. I'm not into it at all.
Nah, nah.
Um,
I like the Chicago Cubs. That's the team I like. Other than that, I don't root for a team. If you're rooting for a team, you need to go look in the mirror. Is all I'm telling you.
yeah, we're speaking the same language there. Okay,
Yeah.
guys, I really appreciate everybody being here. There's a group. I'm gonna go back and read these comments, and if I can reply to some of you, I'll do that. Oh my God, there's like a jillion of them. Oh my God. Okay. But it was a lot of the same crew. So miss you, Buckstop, Scotty, Thor, no, Metal, Theologian. You guys are all chatting amongst yourselves. So forgive me, and I'll next time I'll try harder. But I don't have a co-host. I don't have a gag. I don't have a gang of awesome sidekick. I don't want to call them sidekicks, but you got a good crew of co-hosts that I don't.
Degenerates.
I need some co-hosts. Hey man, thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to your next stream. I got to go follow the thing. The calendar's up there. You can get
Yeah.
notifications and all that stuff. And good
Yeah.
luck with everything. Good luck with it. You got any plans? Any sites? Any sites on the horizon? Anything that you're trying to pull together? I'm trying to pull together a book. I'm going to try to
Oh
turn
wow.
my little thing into a book.
A
You
great
got
idea.
something you're? Yeah, I'm
I
working
mean,
on it. What if you?
the goal for this year is to record some songs that I've
Oh,
gotten
that's great.
written,
That's you said
and
that. You said that.
that's I'm kind of getting
Okay.
back to basics and just recording some stupid, silly songs. That's I kind of said this casually the other day. I was like, I'm kind of hitting the stage of my life. It's like I just want to kind of get drunk and play shitty punk rock music with my friends and kind of ride that out. You know what
That's
I
cool, man. I want to hear this when if I can stay connected and I can pop into the stream, then make sure that those interested can hear what you're doing. We want to support you and want to hear your music and get it out
Absolutely,
there.
man.
Yeah. Mikey Bananas, thank you so much for stopping by. I
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
man.
your time, man. I look forward to staying in touch and learning from you. So I hope you'll be as generous with your knowledge in the future as you were tonight. It was
Always,
really a privilege to have
never
you up.
hesitate, man. I'm always glad. I'm always
I
glad to help.
really appreciate it. Okay, Peanuts, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to sign off, and till next time, we'll see you at the record store. Bye, guys. See ya. Bye, Mikey. Take care.
See you, man.